Come on, technology.
Welcome to the Spotlight Omaha podcast. Here is your host, Jimmy Allen.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome inside the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally owned marketing firm that specializes in website design, creating social media ads, and engaging your business online. If your company could benefit from any of that, check out pixelfiremarketing.com today. Joining us, not inside the Pyramid Contractor studio, but one of our very few remote visitors is Dave Miller with ALLO Fiber. Dave, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Good morning, Jimmy. Good morning, everyone. So glad to be part of this. This is going to be fun.
I think ALLO Fiber is one of those companies right now that a lot of people have question marks. There's white trucks with the green logo popping up all over town. We're seeing fiber being dug and put into place in different parts of the community. Can you explain what you guys do at ALLO Fiber and why you're doing it now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I guess the easiest way to explain it is ALLO is we're a fiber telecommunications provider for residential and business services, as well as government entities and education. So what that means is, for example, on residential side, we provide fiber internet, phone, and television services all across a ubiquitous fiber infrastructure. And then for businesses, we have a complete suite of services ranging from cloud voice, phone systems, to cybersecurity, next-gen firewalls. So anything that businesses need as it relates to managed IT services. And then finally, we work with all of the government entities and schools to provide the connectivity for them as well. Last comment I'll make is what's unique about fiber is it provides not only consistently reliable and fast connections, but it's symmetrical speeds, and that's important. It means same download, same upload speed, whether that's a gig or multi-gig connections.
That's obviously a lot to unpack, and you guys are doing a ton right now, and we're gonna get to how you guys are benefiting the community by doing it in a minute. But when we talk about that wide of a net and trying to encompass all those things into it, just a managed service provider by itself is its own kind of monster, right?
Yeah.
How difficult has it been from the startup process to where we are today, and how have you guys managed that?
Well, I'll give you a little history that maybe help answer that. So ALLO started in Imperial, Nebraska in 2003. So we've been doing this for quite a while. We actually started the first couple of years just as a telephone company. And then in 2005, moved into 100% fiber technology. So again, it was primarily residential and business services, which would entail video services for businesses, as well as what's called hosted PBX phone systems. But then as we continued to grow and expand into communities, we, two years ago, acquired a company out of Kansas City called Avid Communications that really propelled us even more into the managed IT services, which was their specialty. And so we continue to look for opportunities where we want to be the best at it. We may not necessarily do that ourselves, but we're looking for strategic alliances and strategic partnerships to enable us to do that. So as we have moved into the communities of Gretna, Papillion, La Vista, Ralston, we're receiving really good feedback and traction there because, we like to go into a community and compete. We're not afraid to compete with the incumbents that are there. And again, the feedback that we receive has been overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, I became an ALLO customer 2 months ago, which is actually
Thank you.
how this all came about. And I'm not saying this because you're sitting here, but I had the same conversation with somebody else yesterday. I was blown away with how much of a difference fiber makes versus a previous provider that we had that's kind of the monster in town. You can probably make the assumptions there if you like to. But why is fiber so much more effective? And two-part question, sorry. How much does it benefit the Midwest to bury the line versus have it kind of externally outside?
Well, first of all, we say when we go into a new community, and we have 50 communities that we serve across 4 states: Nebraska, Colorado, Arizona, Missouri, and more to come. We've got some announcements coming next week of new communities. But so we say when we go into a new community, our goal is to future-proof that community. What does that mean? Well, by laying a fiber infrastructure there, it it enables the community and ALLO that as economic development opportunities come, as communities want to innovate, we future-proof them so we don't have to go back and relay fiber lines. Fiber allows us to, and our engineers don't like when I say this because I simplify it, but I'm not an engineer, so I try to put it in
Sure.
simple terms for me.
Probably
We
best
change,
for me too.
well, eh, we simply
Yeah,
change out electronics so that we can push the ones and zeros that travel through that glass core of fiber even faster to be able to enable, like I said, multi-gigabit speeds. It's also very eco-friendly because we're not generating a ton of extra, power and heat to have to deal with. So it future-proofs it in that way so that, like I said, as communities and businesses grow, we can grow right along with them. Tell me the second part of your question.
why is it a benefit to have the line buried versus
Yes,
hanging?
yes,
Because obviously we see the extremes of everything from a weather standpoint here in Omaha.
exactly. Well, typically when we design infrastructure, we like to follow the character and nature of existing utilities. So it's more cost effective and time efficient if we can attach to poles because we can go, much more quickly.
Sure.
However, if most of the utilities are underground, we will go underground. Again, it's about 2.5, 3 times the cost for us. But the long-term effect, as you alluded to, is that Nebraska has windstorms. Nebraska has ice storms. So if we can
It gets
go
100 degrees here.
and yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So, we don't have to worry about really maintenance if we can go underground. Now, the potential downside initially is it's going to be much more disruptive. Our construction process is disruptive. And we go into new communities up front. We try to educate folks on here's who we are, here's what we're doing, here's where we're going to be working, and here's who you can call when you have questions and concerns. So we've got a website set up specifically to answer construction questions and where people can list what their question, concern, complaint is. But on the back end, we've got a great resolution team that reaches out and addresses to resolve and repair, replace if that is necessary.
and we're getting a ton of questions through YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. So everybody asking questions, stick around. We'll get to that at kind of the end of the show, and we'll do a little Q&A with Dave at the end as well. I want to talk about the construction portion of it. What is something, because we like to talk about how business is done on this show a little bit. What is something from a construction standpoint that is similar in an Arizona or Colorado to Nebraska? And what are kind of some things that are unique to each individual place?
Well, one of the things right off the bat when I think about Arizona is there's something called caliche there, which is a little
Yep.
harder type,
It's like clay, right?
yeah, yeah, and so that's made it a little bit challenging at times to get through there. But on the other hand, with it being underground, our teams, because it's Arizona is spread out, makes it a little more. We're able to go a little more quickly when you think about our La Vista, Sarpy, and Douglas County areas, there's a lot more congestion. So uh, as far as the speed of it, our main goal is to always be safe. Safety is
Mm,
the number one, but we also want to go quickly because we realize people want to get connected. Colorado, we're primarily in the front range of Colorado, so there's a lot more rock there. In
sure.
fact, there's
A
I
couple
think
mountains or two.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so you've got to deal with that. But I will say that's why it's important for us to work extremely closely with public works directors of those communities, people, experts in the community that know their community better than we do. And so we're going to come alongside them and say, for example, well, here's how we've designed the infrastructure. You tell us, if this is the route we should go or if we need to redirect, because again, the goal is to be safe and to do a good job.
We're catching up with Dave Miller of ALLO Fiber here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio. Dave, I want to ask about the response from the different communities. We'll keep it to Omaha and the surrounding area specifically. I remember we have a node in our backyard, so when I saw the trucks, I knew where they were coming sooner rather than later.
Yep.
We got a knock on our door. The gentleman that came out was very professional. They came back, they reburied everything. What is kind of like? Listen, nobody wants to have their yard dug up, right? But
I know. I know.
uh, and not everybody understands the word easement either. uh,
Exactly.
what is the response from the community been like from that standpoint, and how is Allo kind of putting those fires out and dealing with that situation?
Thank you. Yes, great question. Thank you, because this is something that's near and dear to me. Um, as I stated earlier, we know when we come into a new community, it's going to be disruptive. When we initially meet with the city council to get our cable franchise agreements and other agreements, we stress that we recognize that. Let me back up. We have four core values at Allo. One of those is to be hassle-free.
Sure,
And we state right up front that this is the one core value that during the construction, we're not always able to uphold 100%.
it's almost impossible,
So,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, again, and you mentioned, I'm glad you had a great experience. We have mailers that go
Mm,
out to educate people. We have our teams go out and they'll do door hangers to let people know we're coming. And to be fair, not everybody gets the wind. The wind might blow them if it's a strong
right.
wind, or some people could go into their home through their garage and they don't go in through the front door. So
That's me.
well,
Yeah.
so we have other avenues. Our social media team
Mm,
puts it out on social media. We've had, for example, in Papillion, Mayor Black and Mike Kleffner, the Public Works Director, have been so gracious to work with us in actually producing an educational video on their city website.
saw that
What
yesterday.
what is an easement? What is a
Yeah.
right of way? Who has the ability to be in there? Because that's probably one of the biggest challenges we've encountered is not everyone knows, what's an easement, where is my easement. We actually include the plat map website so people can go and check and know exactly where their easement is. So even though we do all of those things and have them in place, it's still gonna happen. So what
We have over 770 people watching right now. We don't have 2 hours, but could you ballpark what an easement is for anybody that may not have seen the video yet
yeah
or have?
essentially the easement is this, this space between your home and your neighbor's home, that is where utilities go. That's where in some cases sewer is going to go, but certainly electrical is going to go and gas is going to go. We have to place our fiber within those easements. And I know when I first moved to the city, you mean I'm mowing this and I'm paying for
Sure.
this, but I don't have the right to be there. Well, that's how cities work. We've got to
Right.
have these in place.
Do you
Last
like running
comment.
water and electricity? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So people that have those questions, my encouragement is please go to our website, allofiber.com, or you can go to allocommunications.com and click on the construction link, and we've got those videos posted to help educate and answer those questions.
This is more of a personal question for me because obviously I have dogs, and that's something along those lines. Like how and again, this is just my experience. I'm sure there's people out there that may have complaints or whatever, but both my dogs are super friendly, and the gentlemen that were in our backyard were perfectly fine with them being out there. How often has that become a problem, or if at all, if ever?
Yeah, it does happen. I mean,
Sure,
let's to be honest, being honest is one of our other core values. So you're going to get transparency from me, but yeah, we're not perfect. There are times we've received complaints about, oh, you left my gate open, my dogs got out.
sure,
But I can tell you when we talk about our culture and core values at Allo, our general contractor and our subcontractors, we say, look, Allo has a reputation. We've been here 21, 22 years now. We've got these core values that we adhere to. We have very high expectations. We've actually, in some cases, we've had to terminate contractors that haven't lived up to those core values. So yeah, I realize those mistakes are going to happen, but I can also tell you that overwhelmingly, though, our team does a great job. And you can go on social media and see those positive comments where people say,
yeah.
yeah, I realize it's disruptive, but oh my goodness, once we're through the construction phase and people can start enjoying what fiber can do, at your home, at your business, it's a game changer. It really is.
That's where I was going to go next because obviously we want to get past the negative and focus on the positive. There's a reason you guys are doing all this construction, right? What has been the feedback on the services provided, specifically in the Omaha area? And what is something that the Omaha area can expect as far as growth goes?
Yeah, great question. So again, I keep alluding to our core values. Another one is our local core value. That means that, for example, we have a local storefront in our Gretna community. We have a local storefront at the city center in La Vista by the Astro Theater,
Yep.
and that serves, Papillion, Ralston, La Vista as well. And that is a game changer because our customers know not only can they call and talk to a live local person, but they can come into our store and talk to a live local person. That's kind of a game changer. Number two, we're very competitively priced when you look at others that are in that market. And so we get that positive feedback. But I can tell you over and over and over again, the most positive uh, feedback we get is, oh my gosh, customer service is off the charts. If I have to
Mm,
call them, they are there, walk me through it. The installation process, which Jimmy, you've alluded to a couple times, people are so impressed with our teammates and how not only knowledgeable, but just good, kind people they are in wanting to take care of the customer and their needs.
we had a gentleman named Garrett come out that did our installation, and I worked in IT for 13 years, and I was
Oh,
blown
right.
blown away for how well he was able to put things in layman's term. Because obviously my wife hadn't worked in IT for that long, and
Yeah.
anything with a computer in it, she just hands to me to figure out. But I didn't let him know that I was in the know what he was talking about. I was very well surprised. He also made sure that obviously in certain situations when you have new services installed, there's some drilling and holes that go in your house that weren't there beforehand. He made sure to make sure that was okay and walked us through what that looked like, and that's what I was kind of the most impressed by in that situation. But what was installed for us is we got internet and we got TV. You guys offer several other services. We just got uh, the outside Wi-Fi adapter added to go to our
Excellent.
entire
Excellent.
backyard. What are some of the other services that ALLO Fiber offers as far as residential in the Omaha, Papillion, Gretna area?
Okay. Yeah. So on the residential side, of course, we have internet. We have three different tiers. We have our multi-gig, which is 2.3 gig, and that's, really gamers. Anybody who's a gamer understands
It's
the importance
great.
of having that. Yeah. There we go. There we go. There we go. And then we have our gig, which is 1,000 megabits per second. Upload and download symmetrical speeds, and then we have half a gig, which is 500 meg. So we also have um, television video services, with over 150 channels to choose from with locals as well as phone. And it's interesting how many residential customers still take phone services
Sure.
in addition to cell phone. And so that's on the residential side. We have additional products available. Our outdoor Wi-Fi is one that's been really gaining in popularity. Um, you know, whether it's a man cave out in the garage or a she shed, we can project the Wi-Fi even further distance. With communities, we're also doing community public Wi-Fi in areas, something called Smart Town, which the Papillion, La Vista, Ralston, Gretna areas will hear more about as we get more substantially built out there and completed. And then for parents, we have an app called Bark, BARK, that allows them to really manage their own Wi-Fi at home, when the kids can be on it, what websites they can. I mean, really to try to help parents do good parenting these days, which I
Sure. It's
realize,
almost
recognize
impossible.
can be, yeah, it's very challenging. So we
Yeah.
try to
I have
enable
3
and help them in
kids.
that.
You don't gotta tell me, but hey, speaking of kids and giving back, I wanna make sure and we got a ton of questions, so I wanna get to those too. Everybody,
Okay.
we're Sarah, John, Jessica, we're gonna get to those all in 1 second. When we talk about Allo for Education, how are you guys giving back to the schools in the Omaha area, and what is Allo for Education?
Yeah, this is something I've been with ALLO for almost 7 years now, and one of the reasons I joined ALLO was because I saw the impact that ALLO makes in every community we serve by giving back. So our ALLO for Education program is simply anyone who signs up for new service, and we only have now till the end of the year because this has been running for a couple of months. But any new customer that signs up for our service, we will donate $50 to the school of their choice. We in again we This has been one of those programs where the schools are so appreciative, but it allows us to partner with our customers and
Sure.
say, yeah, let's do something for the school. Everybody, cares about kids and education. We've got a great relationship with all of the schools in our community. So again, this is not so ALLO can be the hero. Look how great ALLO is. It's like, no, we want to be able to give back and show that the schools are the real heroes here. And thanks to our customers for allowing us to do that.
Well, we got 10 minutes to go, and you've already set a record for comments left and questions asked. So we're going to get to those here in a second. We're catching up with Dave Miller from ALLO Fiber here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. Sarah wants to know, I live in Dundee. When will ALLO Fiber be available in Midtown Omaha?
Yeah, so we currently don't have plans to build. In fact, here's what we're doing in Omaha. Google Fiber, you may recall, announced here about a year and a half ago that they were going to be bringing their fiber to Omaha. They've actually contracted with ALLO to
Wow.
build out their infrastructure. So because ALLO's got the brand throughout Nebraska, Google Fiber, realizing that, so the partnership has worked really well. So I would say be on the lookout for Google Fiber if ALLO's not going to be there, because again, out of all the other internet service providers, Google Fiber is one, in my opinion, that really closely matches what ALLO's business philosophy and model is.
John writes in from Hastings and wants to know if there's a plan to expand the footprint in central Nebraska.
Oh, excellent question. Well, we just hired a brand new general manager for Central Nebraska, Kearney, Grand Island, Hastings. And if anybody is familiar with the federal BEAD program, BEAD stands for Broadband Equity Access and Deployment. We just got the maps yesterday sent out of where those areas throughout Nebraska are going to be eligible for this funding, and we are tracking that extremely closely. So my suggestion is go to our website and you can type in your address, see if ALLO's there, and if not, it enables you to put in your request, and we track all of those. So I
Grant
hope
and
I hope
Taylor.
we can get there.
Yeah, Grant and Taylor and Lincoln. That answers your question as well. Steve wants to know what are the apparently there was some dispute about channels with the cable product. What do those changes look like, and when can people expect to see them?
Changes with, well, I'm not sure I 100% understand the question, but I'll
Yeah,
answer.
I'll read it verbatim because I kind of
Okay.
paraphrase. Let me get back up to it. Sorry. There have been some channels that have been removed from the cable services
Okay.
recently from ALLO, Cox, and a few other providers. We were wondering when that dispute will be settled, and when can we expect to see those changes?
Okay. I can only speak for ALLO, and so we had a national provider, and well, let me back up. So we always have to negotiate, prices and channels with the
Sure.
providers. We have an organization, national cooperative organization that we are part of, along with other ISPs, and those negotiations can be very, very challenging at times. And sometimes we have to make the hard decision of, well, do we want to charge customers, X amount for these channels? Or in the case of what we're talking about, we had to eliminate some of these in order to keep the costs competitive. However,
Mm.
the good news is that we provide streaming options and direct people to streaming options that still have those same types of channels. And we actually provide streaming classes for anyone that's not comfortable with streaming.
Yeah, it's Steve responded. The reason I was asking because I noticed the channels are still available on demand. So obviously there's still the ability to watch the next day or whatever. So okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for the
Hopefully that
clarification there,
answers it.
Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to talk about doing business in the state of Nebraska. When you talk about before, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up before we turn the camera on. You said we're based in Nebraska, and that's something we're very proud of. What does it mean to you personally to be able to work out of Lincoln, be from here, do business in Nebraska, and kind of help the people in your backyard?
Oh man, I love this. I love this question. So I am based in Lincoln, but my region, I have all of eastern Nebraska, which is from York all the way up to again the Omaha region. And being local, one of our core values, again, being able to be in the communities, to establish relationships with the communities, with the leaders in the communities, and also with our teammates. There's something about, we hear it often, these Midwest values. And I think that's what you're going to experience when you come into contact with anybody at ALLO. We often say we hire character. And so
I love that.
we're looking for people that are going to adhere to our core values, that already have a set of core values that they adhere to. And I will tell you, one of the challenging things is it's trying to find,
Quality
hiring
of
people
place.
that
Yeah.
exactly, because sometimes they come over from a competitor, and let's face it, the culture there may not be even close to where ALLO is. So there's some training that obviously needs to be done. But oftentimes we hire people that may have come from a competitor that say, oh my gosh, this is so refreshing because this is how XYZ company started and kind of lost that. But now I've come home because ALLO continues to represent
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
and that replicates across to the services too. Because I already talked about my installation process and how that went. But with our previous provider, our house is pretty spaced out, and we didn't get internet at a full strength in certain parts, particularly our bedroom where our TV is. And the gentleman that installed noticed that when he installed it and asked if he could add an amplifier for us and explained why and walked us through that. So it's a matter of like you don't always get that in walks of life where people diagnose a problem before it gets there and find you a solution before you ask for it.
yeah, yeah. Well, and we've got really smart teammates, like I said earlier, but we also have teammates that we start with the customer and we work backwards. That's kind of our mantra. We start with the customer. What are the customer's needs? We're so customer centric focused that I think that's also a game changer for ALLO, which that's the feedback we hear is, oh my gosh, you guys really do care about the customer. Absolutely. And it's all about the customer. So I have to give kudos to Brad Moline, who is our founder. He's our president and CEO. He grew up in Imperial, Nebraska, and it's his leadership that really sets the example for how all of ALLO and all of our teammates interact with our customers and communities.
Dave, I hate to ask you to repeat yourself, but we're getting so many questions about services. Can you explain again where people can go to find out if they can get service in their network or
Yeah,
their
I mean
neighborhood? Excuse me.
the easiest thing, go to allocommunications.com. You can even, type in allofiber.com, and then we have every community in Nebraska, Colorado, Arizona, Missouri listed there. Go to your respective community, and we show the services residentially that we have. Or if you feel more comfortable, just calling into our La Vista storefront, talking to Kara, or calling our Gretna storefront, you can do that as well. Happy to provide that information. But yeah, website would probably be easiest.
And you can click on the link below, scrolling across your screen right now as
There we
well.
go.
Really quickly, we're up against a little bit. Do you mind if we go a little bit long? I don't know if you have
I'm good.
anything. Okay, I
This
just
is,
want to.
yeah,
I didn't
appreciate
want to
this.
take up too much of your time. When we talk about growth in the Omaha area, there's obviously this rather large body of water to the east of us, but there's also another city on that side. Does growth in the short term look more western or more eastern for ALLO Fiber?
I appreciate that question. Let me answer it this way. As we grow, we look to have a regional approach.
Mm,
And we also look at who the current providers are. So as I mentioned, Omaha proper is going to be very well served as Google Fiber continues to come there and build out. I mean, competition is great, and we love to come in and compete. We've done a really, really good job of connecting Nebraska. In fact, if I had to guess, I would say Nebraska is probably, if not the most connected state in the country, certainly one of the most connected, because across the state from Imperial to the Omaha region and up to Wayne and Wakefield and Valentine, I mean, we've got Nebraska pretty well covered. Most of our growth is going to be coming in the next couple of years, obviously from Missouri. Joplin, Missouri is our newest community that we've announced there. So we're going to expand
congratulations.
in that region. Thank you. And then Colorado, we'll see continued growth there and tremendous opportunity in Arizona as well. So, and again, if anyone is interested, our website lists those communities. And if you live in a community that doesn't have ALLO, but you would like us, again, go to our website and you can fill that out, communities that want ALLO, and it actually comes to a teammate that sits right beside me in Lincoln, and we follow up on every one of those.
You guys mentioned Valentine. If you get Wi-Fi out on the Niobrara River, you guys might be the most popular company in the entire state. We're catching up with Dave Miller from ALLO Fiber here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast. Brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. So when talked about competition, and that's something that's come up a lot in this room that I've been really surprised by people's responses to. Because I think when everybody talks about business and cutthroat and you got to get ahead and it's a dog eat dog world and all your cliches that you've heard in every mobster movie, it's been really surprising to me in this room how many people say, "Oh, we work with so and so. That's our direct competition, and we give each other ideas and send each other business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." It's really surprising to me to hear you talk about working with Google Fiber and basically be willing to kind of do the legwork for them ahead of them getting here. Why is that such an opportunity for ALLO Fiber?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you asked that. Well, on our business side of Allo, our technology solutions, what it enables us to do is we can kind of fill in products and services that companies like Google Fiber may not offer. So, for example, we have with our technology solutions and managed IT and cybersecurity programs and suites, we can actually go on top of a Google Fiber network and offer
Mm,
those to businesses. So what does that do for Allo? Well, on a national scale, it opens up those potential opportunities. And we've done that in other states with some other providers. But the real challenge is we have to make sure that that foundational connection is a strong fiber reliable connection, because if we're going to come on top of someone else's network in a state or community that Allo isn't, our brand is going to be, we don't want to put our brand at risk, I guess is the best way to say that. So it does create some really good potential growth opportunities in that respect.
well, it doesn't hurt having Google you a favor or two either.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think most people have probably heard of them.
uh, Terrence wants to know on the Twitter chat, what other services does Allo Fiber offer outside of cable, internet, and phone?
Yeah. Well, as we mentioned, the outdoor public Wi-Fi is something to take advantage of potentially. And then as we continue building out, as I stated earlier, we have a program called an initiative called Smart Town. What that will do is allow public connectivity throughout the community, where essentially, if let's say you take your cell phone, um, you don't want to use your cellular data, you can stay connected to the fiber, the Wi-Fi that we provide. And if that phone or device can see an Allo router, it's going to stay connected. It's going to ping off a separate SSID channel that's secure and dedicated just to that. So we're doing that
Oh,
not just throughout communities, but we're doing that for businesses and looking at the
yeah.
agriculture realm as
Ter-
well.
Terrence Wade back in said, "I'm a business owner and I was asking about security." Do you
Oh,
guys? Yeah, yeah,
business
yeah,
service.
yep,
Okay.
yep. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, Terrence. That's my fault.
okay, that's good. Yeah. So on, and probably the best thing is go to our Allo business website. It's got everything listed. But again, for managed IT services, maybe depending on the size of the business, not every business can has the ability to have their own internal IT services. Well, cybersecurity is sort of that ultimate risk that businesses potentially face. So our experts are able to work with businesses to say, let's evaluate where you are and what we can do to help protect your business. So I would say cyber is certainly number one, in addition to, as I mentioned before, cloud voice, hosted PBX programs, next gen firewalls, and then for businesses, obviously internet connectivity and video services as well.
What is the biggest hurdle facing Allo Fiber right now?
Yeah. Um,
You only get to
one
pick
of those,
one.
yeah. Oh, okay. Um, biggest hurdle, again, is just finding the right people, right?
Sure.
Finding quality people, especially in Nebraska, our unemployment rate has historically been so low, which is a good thing.
It's a free work state.
But
There's more jobs
yeah,
than people.
yeah. So I would say that's probably one of the, if I had to pick one, you're going to force me to, I'm going to say that
Sure.
because there's so much growth opportunity and potential. We want to make sure we've got the right people to continue to grow our culture and live by our core values and build out the infrastructure that we're doing.
What's your favorite part about what you do?
Oh, doing things like this. Any
Sure.
chance I get the opportunity to talk
It's
about
very obvious how much you
Allo.
love this, by the way. Yeah.
Well, so I said I've been at ALLO for 7 years. Before this, long story short, I actually was a pastor
Oh, wow.
outside of Lincoln. But prior to that, I had been in the business world, and I wanted to get back into the business world out of ministry. And when I recognized that ALLO was a company that, yeah, they had super fast internet, and that was important. But they also, it wasn't all about profit, it was about purpose. And I thought,
Mm,
I can get my heart and hands and head around that because this is a company that goes into community and really changes the ecosystem, but works to make a positive impact. For example, we haven't even talked about nonprofits. We have a
sure.
program called Community Connect,
We have a
where
ton
in
of them on this show too, so this is good
oh,
to talk
great. Well,
about.
every one of our communities, we work to serve nonprofits where, through an eligibility criteria process, we will give nonprofits, sometimes 3 years of free internet because, again, we know that they're doing some tremendous work, that they're really making a difference in the community, and we want to come alongside them and say, hey, thank you. If we can relieve, this burden of having to pay for broadband for X number of months or years, we want to come and do that. So that's why I joined ALLO's, because I just appreciate giving back to the community.
All right, talk them into the room. If they're looking to switch internet providers or cable services, why should they sign up with Allo?
Well, first of all, we have a commitment to enhancing the community, making a difference. So if you're on board with that, giving back to schools, as I mentioned, ALLO for Education, that's important. If you want to have local service where you can actually talk to a live person, that's why you should come over to ALLO. If you want to have super fast, reliable connectivity that is going to be there when you need it and competitively priced, come over to ALLO. If your business concerned about cybersecurity and, oh my gosh, what am I going to do if I get hacked? You got to come over to ALLO and just let us take care of you.
Yeah, and I want to make sure we get this one in. Joe, who I know is a teacher in OPS, wanted to ask: is there any thought behind doing Allo for Education in next year as well, or is that something you guys got to wait to get there to get to?
You know, I will certainly push that we do this next year because it's just again a great way to give back to the community. So let's get through this year. We got
Sure.
essentially 2 more weeks. We got through December 31st, but we will certainly evaluate that, and if it makes sense, there's no reason we wouldn't do it.
We're way over, but is there anything about ALLO Fiber that we haven't mentioned that people should
Oh
know
my
about?
gosh.
I know we've
Oh,
covered a lot.
we have, and I know I
Okay.
don't normally talk this fast, but I just
I wanted to make sure we get it all out there.
I think we've done a great job. I appreciate you asking
That
and having us on.
That's Dave Miller with ALLO Fiber. If you're looking for a new internet or cable provider, maybe you need some updates for your business or a managed service provider, they offer all that. Check out allocommunications.com, scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Dave, thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks,
Uh,
everybody.
just a programming note about next week. We'll be here Monday and Friday. We're going to take off the majority of the week for the holiday. We do have business owners lined up on Monday and Friday. If you are a business owner, want to get on the show, we do have some openings in mid-January. We'd love to talk to you. But for Dave Miller, I've been Jimmy Allen. We'll see you on Monday. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors.